How do you know when it's time to let someone go? When you've given them all of the opportunities you can as a leader and it's not working out?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we all wish we had some quantitative way to go, hey, there's the number. It's time to go. So we could take it off of our backs. And it's a judgment call. But here's the thing I've learned. This is one of the most important things I think I've learned in leadership, or with the simplest things. And Alan Mulally was the guy who did this the best, the guy who turned the Ford Motor Company around in like the early 2000s. What we have to do when we want to figure out whether it's time to let somebody go is we have to commit as leaders to constantly calling them out when we see them doing the thing that they're not supposed to do. So let's just say it's like if a person isn't hungry. If I want to know what to do about that, it's not an intellectual decision, it's more of a behavioral one. I need to say, I will tell you every time I see you failing in that area. Because if we do that, now, by the way, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not good at this because I'm a wuss as a leader and I don't like to do this, which is not good. So what I do is I'll go tell that person, like when I see them mess up with it, you're not working hard enough. You said you wanted to be hungrier. So this is what I need you to do. And then they do it again a week later. And I go right to my wife and I tell her. And then I go the next time I go right to my staff members, which is terrible because I don't like to have to confront people. But if we confront people, if we are just so consistent about staying on top of that, the third time you confront them, they're going to go, oh my gosh, there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. This is not going to go away. And they're going to do one of three things. They're going to improve their behavior. They're going to go, I need to get better at this. I need to demonstrate more hunger. That's beautiful. That's the number one thing. Second, and it's the next best thing, they're going to go, I don't want to work that hard. I don't want to be that hungry in my life. I'm going to leave because it's never going to be fun for me here if they're constantly reminding me. That's actually a good second best because they can leave. It's dignified. They make their own decision. You don't have to pay a lot of severance. It's not messy. The third, which happens, 5% of the time, is that they're going to decide, I'm not going to leave and I'm not going to get better. That's their problem. And then you got to get HR involved in all that stuff. But when we don't confront people and we don't consistently stay on top of them, we actually make it likely that we're going to have to do the HR thing. And they're going to be surprised. And well, you told me that one time. No, but I told you and you never did it. Just keep saying it. Alan Mulally used to go to people and say, hey, you need to change your behavior here. But if you don't want to, that's okay. And they'd say, really? He goes, yeah, you don't have to work here. We could still be friends. And he wasn't mean about it. He was like, we could still be friends. You could have a good life. But if you're going to work here, you need to know I'm going to require this of you. And every time I see you not do it, I'm going to call it out. That's actually a form of love and it dignifies people. So if you want to know, should I get rid of this person? Just keep reminding them. And after a few times, if you really do it, they're going to opt in or out. And if they decide they're not going to do either, then you got to say, it's time to take them out myself.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey is so good at that. He'll regularly remind us in staff meeting that we're free to leave. This is not a cult. We can still be friends. But if your heart's not in it, if you are not that ideal team player here for the right reasons, doing the work, then it's your time to go. So some great reminders there and a great framework.
You know what's funny, though? People will accuse a company like that of being a cult. And of course, Jim Collins used to say, you should have a cult-like culture, not one that doesn't let people leave, but that says we believe in a few things. And if you don't meet that, then it's best for you to move on. And so I think people like criticize companies with strong cultures by accusing them of being a cult when it's like, no, but cult is in the word culture. What it just means is there's something that we have in common that without that, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So it's actually a good thing.
Beautifully said. So, Pat, before you leave us, you've got your finger on the pulse. You're very hip, very, very hip.
I am so hip. My kids remind me that all the day. I am so cool.
So I got to know, what has been grinding your gears lately when it comes to leadership?
Probably the most is that, and I'm in California still. I mean, they haven't kicked me out yet. But I think leadership, like in the Silicon Valley in particular, but it's true in many industries, but especially in really high-profile industries, we've almost begun to accept that leaders are self-focused and they're ego-driven and they're not principled. It's this idea of, I think servant leadership, there's only one kind of leadership, and that's servant leadership. And the ones that do it because they want to be famous or they want to be cool or they want to lord it over people or they want to tell people how to live their lives, that bothers the crap out of me. And we shouldn't be showing these kind of people as examples to young people of real leadership. Because I don't think a lot of these high-tech leaders are leaders at all. I think they want to be kings and despots. And I love the fact that the best leaders are not famous. And like Southwest Airlines is a great company. I mean, everybody's got their warts, but they have less than most. I love that company, And most people don't even know who Gary Kelly is. If you walked in your office, you wouldn't know. He doesn't need to be on TV. He doesn't want to be on TV. He wants to run a great company because he loves their employees and he loves their customers and he does great for their shareholders. And that's how it ought to be. So I think what grinds me is these people that are actually kind of usually ego-driven and they want to be cool and people think that's okay. And a lot of kids are coming out of college thinking that's what it means to be a leader, and it's the opposite. So that probably grinds me a lot. It also grinds me that there's not more courage among leaders. I think this is a time, the world is changing, and it's time for leaders to stand up and say, I got to tell you what I don't think is good, even if it costs me a few customers. I got to stand up for that. Our employees want us to do that. The world needs us to do that. So more courage, I think, would be great.
Humility and courage, both great traits in a leader.